Hello everyone, my name is Luke Stevens. Today I want to talk about NFTs, every gamer's favorite subject, GameStop, something that some gamers actually like talking about because they made money on it last year when the stock price exploded, and whether or not this industry that they're trying to create could actually function and if you could actually make money off of it. For those of you not aware, I have a bachelor's degree in corporate finance. I studied for 4 years, like big money and how these decisions and industries get established and function. So I feel like I'm relatively qualified to at least offer some thoughts on the subject rather than just rah NFTs bad. I want to have an intelligent conversation about it. And that's what we're going to do here. But real quick, thank you to the sponsor without whom we couldn't talk about this smart person stuff, Skillshare. Skillshare is the online learning community for every kind of learner. Whether you're looking to learn how to draw, paint, or improve your video editing, Skillshare has a ton of classes taught by industry professionals to help you achieve those goals. I, for one, have wanted to learn how to use Adobe After Effects in these videos for years. So, after procrastinating for said years, I decided it was high time to start learning how to use the software. So, I hopped on Skillshare and I found this class in Animating with Ease by Jake Bartlett, and hopefully you've noticed the improvements in my editing over the last couple of months. But it's not just After Effects. They have classes on almost anything you can think of. And the first 1,000 people who click on the link in the description box below will get a free 1-month trial to try out classes on whatever they're passionate about. Check them out today. Okay, and we're back. Let's talk about NFTs, GameStop, and the bizarre strategy that GameStop is implementing to try and capitalize on this new exciting technology. So this article comes from the Wall Street Journal, one of my favorite publications. They're level-headed. They do really good work over there. And this article was published by Sarah Needleman on January 6th. So the article is a little out of date. Some stuff has changed and happened, which I'll show you in just a moment. But this article was posted basically describing how GameStop's new strategy was to expand their business out of just used games, but to try and be one of the leading forces in the next generation of video games and trade of video game assets. Previously, for them, it was all about trading used games and peripherals and things. Now they're getting into in-game assets and trying to trade those. That doesn't make sense? Hear me out. So it's no mystery that GameStop has been struggling for years to turn any sort of profit and to keep up with places like Best Buy, Amazon, PlayStation's online store, Game Pass, places like that, which frankly make the used video game market almost completely useless. It's something that of course we all would like to stay relevant. We would like used games to continue trading, but the whole point of used games was to offer gamers a chance to play these titles they wouldn't normally play at a cheaper price because they can just buy the used copy and recycle it. Publishers for a long time have been trying to find a way to prevent this from happening. There were talks back in 2013, for example, when the Xbox One launched, where they weren't going to allow used games to be played on the consoles. You'd have to buy it again. Obviously, that didn't go well. But after that reception was presented so forcefully by the gaming community, these publishers started to relook at everything, reanalyze and figure it out, and they started to really actively try to prevent the used video game market from having any sort of relevancy, such as controlled supply, where they can drop the price of units in localities where GameStop has used copies for a set price. So it's just as reasonable to buy the new copy of the game compared to the used copy of the game. Or they do other things such as offering exclusive perks, DLC, things like that, like in Horizon Forbidden West, with digital codes that you get only if you get the digital copy of the game or redeem it digitally. Such as, we got the collector's edition of Horizon Forbidden West, the statues back there, comes with a steelbook, but the copy of the game is a code. It's not even a physical copy of the game. So you redeem the game, But now I can't trade that game ever. I can't sell it used. And for PlayStation, there's no upfront physical cost to the media beyond the physical stuff you get in like a collector's edition, which you're paying for anyways with the high price tag that's associated with it. So the point is, all of these publishers, all of these studios have been trying to find a way to basically get GameStop out of the industry because they don't like selling used copies, because every sold copy that's used is a copy new that the publisher isn't getting a cut of. So those companies for a long time have been trying to get GameStop out of the business, and they've largely succeeded. GameStop as a company was trading around $3 to $4 a share last spring in early 2021. And then something happened. So basically what happened is the stock was trading down here around 446, 438, 426, and it was bouncing around there all through 2020. And then some news was dropping and some interesting stuff started to happen. The stock went up to $7, and then it went up to 10. Then it went up to 13, then it dropped back down to 10. And it started climbing up. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you'll notice we hit January, late January of 2021, and the stock price shoots up to $347. What the hell? How do you go from $4 a share and then in the span of a few months you go all the way up here? Did they like solve like string theory? Did they find a cure to cancer? No. What happened was called a short squeeze. And basically, very dumbed down, what this is big hedge funds are shorting GameStop. In other words, they think the stock price is going to go down. So they're selling all sorts of options, stock options, and contracts to basically bank on the stock price dropping. So they put all of this money on the line. A lot of it they leverage and borrow the money against in order to try and capitalize on this. And if the stock price drops, the hedge fund makes tons of money because they're profiting off of the sale of the stock where it drives the price down. But what a few savvy Redditors realized is they can recognize public filings by these hedge funds to see when the stock price is going to go up and down based on these shorts. And then they just started buying up GameStop shares to try and limit the actual quantity of stock out there, the shares that were actively trading. So when the day would come that these options needed to be executed, there wasn't enough stock on the open market being sold to justify the contract, which would drive the price up. And then the contract would have to settle regardless because it's a contract. So the stock would shoot up even more as the hedge fund desperately tried to buy up all of the shares it needed to fulfill those options that it had either sold or bought, depending. Kind of complicated, but basically hedge funds were betting the stock would drop. Every day, Redditors who were buying, 10 shares, 20 shares of the stock, bought the stock and refused to sell it, even when the stock price started to tick up, which meant that the hedge fund had to just buy shares to fulfill the contracts it had already committed to, regardless of the price. And the stock started shooting up as a result because they would offer $50 effectively. Nobody was selling. Then they'd offer $60 for a share and nobody was selling. So they have to offer 70 and then 80. And pretty soon the stock price shoots up. So that's what happened. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens with GameStop as a stock, because right now it's just bizarre. But these numbers don't change the fact that the company at its core is still worth what it was over here. They haven't done anything different in the last year and a half. Maybe it's worth like $7 a share now, maybe even up to 10. I've seen some analysts say not worth $120 a share. So it doesn't change the fact just because this meme-tastic thing is happening and a lot of executives at GameStop are getting very, very wealthy compared to what they expected to be making this time just a couple of years ago. Just because this is going on doesn't mean that GameStop is a healthy company with a good business model. They are desperate. So what they've committed to doing is investing heavily in NFTs. They think this is going to be the future of the industry, I guess. I don't necessarily blame them. Like, you remember a few years ago, they tried to get into like selling cell phones and iPads and stuff. It was always really awkward because you would go into GameStop to buy like a used copy of Smash Brothers, and then they would be like, okay, and can I interest you in an iPhone 4 today? And you're like, I'm good, man. I have no interest in that at all. So this is, I guess, a better alternative than trying to be like a knockoff Cricket Wireless. But where they are now, they're putting a team of roughly 20 people into a unit that's building an online hub for buying, selling, and trading NFTs from virtual video game goods, such as avatar outfits or skins, and weapons and weapon skins, according to the people involved in the unit. The company is asking select game developers and publishers also to list NFTs on its marketplace when it launches later this year. In other words, they're going to places like Ubisoft, EA, Activision, asking them to sell skins through the GameStop hub and hoping that this will somehow save their business. Now, what this effectively turns GameStop into is just a virtual brokerage service where there's a lot of money involved in it, but there has to be movement and transactions happening for this to make any sort of money. So it's a bit of a gamble. In the article, it reads, diving into the crypto and NFT space puts GameStop on a rapidly growing list of companies trying to cash in on these nascent and largely unproven technologies. A handful of NFT marketplaces already exist, and some feature tokens from game publishers. Earlier this week, so in this case, early in January of 2022, a marketplace called OpenSea said it raised roughly $300 million in venture capital and is now valued at $13.3 billion, which is greater than GameStop's entire value. That's insane. And let me be clear, the only way NFTs work is if everybody agrees that they work. The only way you can make money in any market is if somebody else is losing the money. And that's very important to understand. There's no such thing as free wealth creation or anything like that. The only reason why a stock price goes up is because somebody is willing to pay the higher price for it. The only reason why you get more money for your car is because somebody is willing to pay you more for your car, right? Same thing with NFTs. You can have something which on paper you say is worth $1 million, but if you can't find somebody willing to pay $1 million for it, it's not worth $1 million, right? So with this, the reason why I wanted to have sort of a more academic discussion of NFTs is because there is actually potential to make money on these, at least in the short term. I don't see any potential for the average consumer to make any significant amount of money off of NFTs. You have to be very strategic with this and very careful. And the reason I say that is because the only way you're going to make money in the NFT space right now is by taking the money from the big corporations, because they're the only ones throwing a lot of cash into this. Sure, some people are putting like $5,000 here or 10 grand there if they have some savings or something, and they are trying to make a quick buck easily, but you're going to make the money, the big money, by taking it from big corporations. And if you think that that's not possible, just remember that GameStop just announced in this article that they're putting a solid, cool, clean $100 million up in the form of grants through this Immutable X grant program. They're putting another like $50 to $100 million into their marketplace, where they will presumably be paying to acquire all of these NFTs from various sellers. So they're betting big on this, because honestly, they don't have much of an industry to go back to if they bail on NFTs. So this is their last hurrah, and they're just throwing all of the money they have at the possibility of NFTs working. And if you play your hand right, you could get some of that cash that they're just throwing out. I don't think NFTs in their current form will be any sort of major staple in the industry in 5 years. I think it'll probably do what like loot boxes did, where they just repackage them and find a different way to present them to the player, where they do like, oh, it's a season pass now. And so for NFTs, it'll be like, oh, it's a Platinum Ultra Onyx skin, where there's, it's tied to a blockchain. So there's only one of these skins in existence, and it's worth $200 or $2,000 or whatever else. I almost said $200 million. It's worth like $2,000. And if you want to sell it, you can sell it on GameStop's open trading platform for NFTs if you'd like, or you can sell it directly in game to one of your friends, whatever you want. I think that is very likely what it's going to end up being. I think they need to get off the like title NFT because it has so much baggage at this point, but they're already working on that, I'm sure. You're going to have teams of marketing gurus trying to figure out a way to make NFTs work, because at the end of the day, all of these big companies and investors who are throwing hundreds of millions of dollars at NFTs, even though there's no real clear direction they're going, the reason they're doing it is because they feel like they missed out on crypto. They could have bought Bitcoin back when it was $100 a coin, and they feel really stupid now. So they're like, you know what? I'm going to get in on NFTs before it just explodes. It might explode too. So they're throwing this money at it, just hoping. And while that doesn't make a company successful to just throw money at something, with an asset like NFTs, it actually can bizarrely make it successful. Because again, NFTs only work if everybody agrees they work. You only make money on NFTs when somebody else is willing to lose money on NFTs, thinking they're making an investment. So if you can ride the NFT wave properly, yeah, you can profit off of these big corporations that are just blindly throwing money at NFTs, hoping it's the next crypto craze. But don't mistake that opportunity for long-term potential of growth. Like NFTs are not a long-term investment. Go buy real estate, buy an office building, do something else with your money if you want to hold it for a long time. But if you're looking for quick cash and you're a smart cookie, I'm sure you could figure out how to make some money off of these NFT trends. It's not to say everybody can do it. Like I said, you'd have to be pretty sophisticated with this, but I think there's an opportunity to profit off of the morons at GameStop that are acting like this is the second coming, basically. So all told, GameStop is making some big moves, throwing huge wads of cash at NFTs, hoping that it can save their business. I'm not convinced it'll save their business, and investors aren't convinced it'll save their business. We just, they're trying what they got to try. It's the last thing they can do. It's, they previously tried to sell cell phones to be successful. That obviously didn't work. They got this new CEO who thinks he's figured it all out and he's throwing money at NFTs. Who knows? Maybe in 10 years, we'll look back at this and laugh that we were so skeptical of NFTs and we're like, we could have made so much money off of them. Or maybe we'll look back and be like, can you believe that GameStop put hundreds of millions of dollars into this and just lost it all? They're desperate. And don't take desperation as like an informed and well-reasoned investment that you're justified in investing in too. In this case, I really think it's just people are bummed they missed out on crypto and they're looking for the next thing they can hop onto to try and make money quickly like that. But I'm not convinced it'll happen. But if you're a smart and savvy trader, I think you could probably profit off of what GameStop is doing. Of course, not investment advice, not financial advice. I'm just some moron on YouTube, but I think there's a chance. But that's all for me. Let me know what you think of all of this mess in the comment section below. I'd be very interested in hearing your thoughts. Make sure to like the video if you liked it, subscribe for new uploads, and follow our Twitch stream where we are recording this video live here on the 21st of February. I'd love to have you over here. Say hi. We have a great time. That's it for me. Hugs and kisses. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.